who Longer is going to be playing against in our second semifinal. It's going to be either SphnxManatee or Lojom. SphnxManatee from the United States, Lojom from South Korea. I remembered his name from HCT championship events. I know that he competed in one. He was in the APAC Championship event in 2017. He was also a member of the APAC Last Call tournament. So a name that you might recognize from HCT stage. And then SphnxManatee is a name that I've not heard before. Says he works at a small business, likes traveling, and says here he likes exploring remote valleys and forlorn country roads.
Yeah, and what a name.
What a name.
What a name.
And here we can see him. And maybe some examples of places he's explored back on his wall.
I can see a little bit of a. I don't. It's that.
Looks like Zion National Park.
I was looking at the map on the side.
Yeah. Oh, that could be a map event.
Yeah.
How can we possibly know? Well, we could maybe ask him at the end of this. And then Lojom from South Korea with that HCT experience. Certainly a standard player here in wild Hearthstone land, but we can see him getting ready for this series. That's a nice little room he's got there.
Yeah. Is that It's not Pikachu, is it, in the back?
It doesn't look like Pikachu.
No.
It looks like a bunny that could also be a Pokemon, but I don't think it is.
No, yeah. Yeah, it looked a little bit Pikachu-esque.
Yeah, little-esque, yeah, for sure. Yeah, two guys that we've got here. Obviously, one more well-known in competitive Hearthstone than the other, but I've learned in Wild that never means that you should rule out the underdog. Especially in the Wild format. If SphnxManatee, say, only plays the Wild format, then maybe he's got more experience in this than Lojom necessarily does. And we can go ahead and take a look at the bans here. SphnxManatee's Warlock has been banned away. Never mind, the bans are gone. So we'll just see as they get into game number one, I guess.
Ah, okay.
All right, it's going to be Shaman versus Rogue here. And it's even Shaman for SphnxManatee, a deck that we've seen have some middling performance so far today. Because Flame Tongue Totem was nerfed, now they've had to find alternate cards to put into that spot. Looks like SphnxManatee is favoring Whirling Zap-O-Matic.
Yeah.
And then Lojom is going to be on an odd Rogue deck. Not a Kingsbane deck like we saw Dr. J playing earlier. This deck probably has suffered a little bit more than Kingsbane from the loss of Cold Blood.
I think so. Yeah, Cold Blood was a huge way to push damage kind of with your tokens early game. It'd be interesting to see exactly what he's replaced it with. But let's have a little look actually. I think he's just thrown in a few extra one-drops. Oh, no, interestingly enough, Blood Knight. So he's gone for like a Paladin.
Oh.
He's gone for a direct Paladin counter there,
Cool.
which I can kind of appreciate because that's another difficult matchup for the likes of Kingsbane Rogue, because Paladin can obviously go slightly wider, and if they get enough resources with their the dudes, they can push more damage, kind of like around like the mid game.
Yeah, it's a matchup that I don't think necessarily is good even with the inclusion of Blood Knight, but maybe it gives you a couple extra percentage points, and I think it's fair to assume that a lot of players would be playing Odd Paladin in this tournament.
Definitely. And yeah, the only thing I can think Blood Knight targeting is Paladin. I can't think of anything else popular enough that people would bring into the Wild tournament.
Yeah, even Odd Rogues in Wild don't play Argent Squires.
No.
So there's really not much else that would play Divine Shield. This matchup, though, I think has to be favorable for the Rogue. Just the consistent Dagger being able to kill off all of the totems, the early game pressure that the Shaman may not necessarily have if they don't have that Totem Golem on turn 2, say. And then just the ability to be able to kill off a Flame Wreath Faceless with a Vilespine Slayer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's even like small tech cards. It is kind of a tech card, but Iron Skulker, which is great against the likes of totems, and just putting a bit of extra damage into the likes of Faceless... sorry, not Faceless Manipulator. Thing from Below, I was going to say. But... yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much Cold Blood not being in the deck is going to hurt against this type of like mid-range, like even Shaman. But so far, it's been an excellent start for Lojom. Like when you play an even Shaman, and I've seen a few even Shamans actually include Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and it's very hit and miss.
That's a draw.
Oh, that is. It's a nice top deck. Whirling Zap-O-Matic is really hit and miss because it's a win more card basically. If you can't play that from behind, because it just won't stick and do nothing. So yeah, it's interesting to see what these players have brought in even Shaman to replace Flame Tongue Totem.
It operates similarly to Corpse Taker in this deck, where you want it to be a minion that is hard to remove and deals a lot of potential damage with Earth and Might or with Flametongue Totem. Flametongue Totem's gone now, and not having Divine Shield does mean that Whirling Zap-O-Matic is going to get killed far more often than Corpse Taker does. So far we've seen it pretty much just be a Bloodfen Raptor, but one that really has high priority for your opponent to remove. This early start from Lojom is just phenomenal, though. Hitting that HenchClan Thug on the previous turn, he could have played the SI7 agent and still had something to do, but the HenchClan Thug is much, much more threatening. And SphnxManatee does have some interesting techs in this deck, actually. He's playing 2 Earthen Mites. He's playing the 2 Whirling Zap-O-Matics. He's got a copy of Ragnaros, and he has a copy of Gormok the Impaler. Yeah,
so he's trying to go as wide as possible with Gormok, because it's pretty hard to activate, even in Even Shaman, where you can go quite wide easily with the likes of like Sea Giant and stuff like that. To get 4 minions on the board to activate that is a really tough, especially against this particular lineup that we're seeing from other players.
He's also got 2 Direwolf Alphas and 2 Knife Jugglers, so he's just really taken a completely different route with this Shaman deck than, I guess, all of the other Even Shamans that we've even seen.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a splash of late game in there with Rag, and then a lot of early game, like token removal potential with Knife Juggler, and I guess cards like what was it called again? The wolf, basically.
Yeah, he's got no Devolve. He has no Dry Knight Totem Carver. He is not even playing Flame Wreathed Faceless.
Yeah, it looks like he's just accepting the fact that Big Priest matchups are probably going to be quite bad for him, so he's just trying to target tempo decks, aggro decks, but it looks like the hand that he's drawn is, again, it's a really clunky, like 3/6 drops and a Rag. Yeah, it's not looking great.
This is lethal for Lojom with the Ironbeak Owl onto the Stoneclaw Totem, or just the Dark Iron Skulker. So that's going to be a very fast game number 1 over to the Odd Rogue. The Even Shaman absolutely can contest the Odd Rogue, but you need, Jade Lightning right the turn that they play the HenchClan Thug to be able to kill it off. You need to have the Totem Golem on 2. You need to have the Merkspark Eel to play cleanup with the Pirates. It's just too slow of a start there for SphnxManatee by far. Having clunky 6 drops in hand is not what you need in this matchup. So a very fast win for the Rogue, and I'm really surprised that we're seeing so little Rogue in this tournament at all. Looks like it's actually just
I would have thought it would be more
and Dr. J, I think.
I would have thought that it would have been a more mix of Odd Rogue and the Kingsbane Rogue, but the two, I think it's so powerful that you kind of have to. That's like I would say that's like the go-to aggro deck right now. Pirate Warrior's kind of being superseded by these Kingsbane Rogues, so yeah, it's a bit of a surprise.
SphnxManatee has the Odd Rogue as well, so yeah, a couple of Rogues in the tournament, but I would have thought that it would be maybe taking the spot of Even Shaman in a lot of cases, because Even Shaman got quite a bit weaker, and Odd Rogue is just faster to start with. It relies less on Cold Blood to get to the point where it can win games. It just needs the Cold Blood to close out games, whereas oftentimes the Even Shaman needs Flametongue Totem to take early trades. It needs them to turn the totems into something that can actually do something in the early game, and they can't even get to the late game if they don't have it. So, I mean, there you saw, that was a really bad matchup for the Shaman, and now we're going into another matchup that I don't think is particularly good for it. This Shaman is just a deck that is bad against other aggro decks in a lot of cases. Maelstrom Portal is going to help. The Direwolf Alpha that SphnxManatee has chosen to put in the deck is going to at least allow the totems to take trades. So maybe this version is going to be a little bit better against Paladin than other Even Shaman decks.
I think that's where he's targeted. And he's actually got a really decent hand to combat the first wave of like 1/1s that are going to come out. Yeah, I really like his opening hand. Jade Claws gets so much work done because it just leaves a body behind, and then you're killing off 2 minions. And like you say, the Direwolf Alpha, any totems that he drops down is going to be tradable with 1/1s. But one strange inclusion. No, Whirling Zap-O-Matic is a bit of a strange one to include without Flametongue Totem, because those two directly synergize with each other. Because if you drop a Whirling Zap-O-Matic, follow it up with Flametongue Totem, that's 10 damage going in potentially to face. So I think that's a strange one to swap out with Flametongue.
I guess I get it for SphnxManatee because he's playing 2 copies of Earth and Might as well. But for a lot of the other even Shamans that have chosen to run SphnxManatee without Earth and Might, without Direwolf Alpha, I think just playing Direwolf Alpha or Earth and Might instead of the SphnxManatee makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we can actually see Purifier Maul in the deck, which is a card we actually haven't seen in many of the odd Paladins today. Super
popular in Standard, but in Wild, you know, you really need to be the best of the best to make the cut in these decks, and usually Unidentified Maul just isn't doing it.
Yeah, typically... Yeah, you don't really see it too much. Most of the time, if you do play it, it does roll well. I think 3 out of 4 of the potential rolls you get are good. It's
as long as it's not Sacred Maul.
Yeah, the taunt is awful for it.
And taking a look at Lojom's Odd Paladin list, he does have a more aggressive list, I would say, than others. He's not running Vine Cleaver. He does have 2 copies of Seal of Champions, which is the +3 attack and Divine Shield for 3 mana. And that's something that really didn't get played when it was in Standard, but I think fits right in with Odd Paladin right now.
Yeah, like anything that he can get to stick, he's just looking to push potential extra damage. He's also running Glowtron as well, which is a bit of an unusual inclusion, I think. I believe that's the 1/3 mech.
Yeah, it's the only mech in the deck, but...
It's just a good
1/3.
Yeah, it's just a good body, I think, because it's either that or the Diamol, and you got potential to mechanize it to each other, but that's unlikely. But it's there.
Okay, the Direwolf, really nice with the Wrath of Air Totem to be able to bump off one of those Divine Shields.
Oh, interesting.
He can Blessing of Might, clear off the Direwolf, and then kill the Wrath of Air Totem without having to lose the Righteous Protector.
Yeah, and that does actually it does actually play. Does it play better into Maelstrom? I mean, you wouldn't play Maelstrom there, here, but yeah, I like that because he still has to tank the damage if he plays Weapon.
And now Lojom is gonna have to play Muster for Battle this turn, which will play really cleanly into the Maelstrom portal for SphnxManatee. So it's actually been a really solid first couple of turns, and it was just as easy as having a Direwolf for your totem. Yeah,
his inclusion of Direwolf Alpha and something like the smaller cards, like we haven't seen Knife Jewel yet, but that just does a number on Odd Paladin for sure.
Yeah.
We see, there's the SphnxManatee. I can't see that getting played until obviously he gets some sort of like board state back, which actually, you know, might happen next turn potentially.
Yeah. Drop it down with the Thing from Below. Have to play the Maelstrom portal this turn because, yes, there's not access to Quartermaster just yet, but trades with the Warhorse Trainer, a Blessed Maul or a Purifier's Maul there would have been insane, and Purifier's Maul would have just been game-winning for Lojom. So SphnxManatee, rightfully so, not taking that chance.
No, I agree with that play there. I mean, he's probably now considering if he should Seal of Champions here or just hit the Hero Power. I think just Hero Powering here is probably a little bit more beneficial. Because typically you want to use that obviously when you can attack, so it's sort of like with charge. But yeah, if without Devolve in his hand, obviously he doesn't know that, but... Does he have Devolve in his deck, actually?
I don't think he's not playing Devolve or Hex.
Ah, okay, got you.
So there's actually very little
so that's pretty safe,
that SphnxManatee can do to interact with this Corridor Creeper outside of, a Jade Lightning.
Jade Lightning, yeah, Crackle.
So Lojom can Hero Power and Purifier's Maul on the next turn, and he's running low on stuff, but he is playing 2 copies of Divine Favor, which is more than we're seeing in the average Odd Paladin in Wild, so he does have some insulation for situations like this where he starts running low on resources. Yeah,
I've seen some people run 1 copy, and I kind of... If you're lower curved and more aggressive, I think it's okay to run 2 copies of it. So that's probably his ideal top deck. He needs to top deck it soon though, because Sphinx is going to be able to start moving all these cards out of hand.
Yeah.
So the power of card draw for him is going to like diminish over a couple of turns.
Eventually, we're going to get to a state where.
Oh, speak of the devil.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to get to a state where both of these players are running low on resources, playing off the top of their deck, and then SphnxManatee's deck is going to be stronger, while Lojom's Hero Power is going to be stronger.
Yeah. And there is Sacred Maul hits, and that's probably the most... That is the powerfulest iteration of that card for sure.
By far.
Yeah.
The fact that Lojom was able to bump off the Divine Shield to clear up the thing from below and then have the Corridor Creeper on the board still is just so good.
Yeah. So I'm looking at potential options here. I mean, do you jam all three 2-drops here and try to go wide on board, or I guess you could also argue Flame Elemental's fine and trade into the 5/5.
Yeah, I think that has to be it.
Because the next turn, if he does that, Lojom could get value out of his Divine Favor. He would he'd potentially draw like only 2 cards, or just go for the Quartermaster play, I think.
At least next turn's not turn 7.
Yeah.
So Lojom can't Hero Power and Quartermaster.
Yeah, so that's why I think maybe next turn's probably going to be the best Divine Favor turn he's going to get for the entire game.
And it may just be, 1 or 2 cards.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh. That's not. You never want to top deck them back to back.
Really bad.
Oh.
He's not happy about it. I mean, if Divine Favor can be Arcane Intellect, that's fine. But this is significantly worse here. So I do wonder if maybe Lojom's just going to go for the Quartermaster.
I think so. And then I guess weapon into the 6/5 trade off.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Actually, yeah, you would trade off a totem actually because he does run Direwolf. So there is value there in actually taking a trade on one.
Clear the Wrath of Air Totem. He knows that there's no devolve, so these recruits aren't at risk of being transformed into wisps.
Yeah. And there's those 2 Divine Favors are likely now gonna be dead draws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much. That Knife Juggler pickup is actually really good for SphnxManatee.
Here we go.
He's gonna get to throw 3 daggers this turn.
Yep. I guess he's just hoping to that's it. Just take out one of the recruits.
And he hits the taunt down too. So yeah, now we're at a spot where they're drawing off the top of their decks. SphnxManatee's deck is better than Lojom's, I would think.
Yeah. Like drawing, it must just feel so bad to be top decking with 3 cards every time.
He can play a Divine Favor just to get it out of his hand, but he needs to Hero Power here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he just has to accept the fact that that those 2 cards aren't going to do anything for the entire game. And
just awful. I mean, he found them exactly when he needed them, but it was still a little bit too late. And the fact that he is running 2 of them, you're not ever expecting to find both of them in a game.
Yeah.
You're running 2 of them because you really want to find one of them.
And I think he's still okay to trade because his Hero Power gives him so much like reach in this match. So I think every time he trade, he has the advantage of taking a trade and hopefully top decking the other Quartermaster, taking advantage that way. Especially because Sphinx is in like in top deck mode as well, essentially. But it's not looking too good. That heal totem
brutal.
So big.
So brutal. And there's the maul that you don't want to see. I think that SphnxManatee has just about pushed Lojom out of this game.
Yeah, definitely.
He did it at the cost of 15 of his life, but that is absolutely fine if you can win the game.
Showing the Divine Favor, I think. Unless because anything that Sphinx top decks now, he's likely going to play because he doesn't have that many reactive cards. So he's very, very unlikely to get even 1 card from the second Divine Favor. And let's just see. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing that Sphinx could draw that he wouldn't want to play here. He would even just crackle the face to prevent Lojom from being able to draw a card.
Yeah. I think he must know that that's a Divine Favor, essentially.
I can't think of anything else that Lojom wouldn't play for this long. I mean, even... Okay, well, Baku could not have been played until this turn, so that could have been Baku.
Yeah.
But I think Leroy you would have still seen. Leroy would have been used to trade.
We're getting pretty close. Depends on where his top deck is. I wonder if he... I don't think... Yeah. Just go face. Trying to work out a line of play, but like any top deck he could possibly get. I mean, he runs Leroy, so...
He pushes face for 3 and draws Leroy, and SphnxManatee doesn't kill.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way.
Steward of Darkshire.
Yeah, he'd have to, yeah.
No. He's not going to be able to find the damage. It's just not there. Okay, so 11 damage on board for SphnxManatee. Crackle and Jade Lightning win the game. That's not an immediate win, but it is going to be over 2 turns.
Yep, you just trade the 3/3, go face of the 8, and that's pretty much it, I'd say. Because you basically guaranteed lethal with the other 2 anyway.
Yeah.
There's no point in kind of like pushing that extra 3, I think. Even with he's already rolled the two hammers actually, so he can never get taunt anyway.
The back-to-back Divine Favor draw is just so unfortunate for Lojom. But even if he loses here, which he's going to, he's going to be left with this Paladin, and he has his aggro token Druid deck, which is the only deck of its kind in this tournament.
Yeah, targeting. I think he's specifically targeting like pirate-based decks, I'd say.
Yeah, he's got a couple Galactic Crawlers in the deck, which are phenomenal.
Yep.
He has just all the small stuff, and then Savage Roars and Evolving Spores to be able to take advantage of that small stuff. So that is going to be the even Shaman win for SphnxManatee. He's now left with his odd Rogue and an aggro Paladin. Not an odd Paladin.
Oh, yeah.
An aggro Paladin. And that is really unusual, but there are so many powerful Paladin cards in Wild that you can't play in odd Paladin, like Shielded Minibot, for instance, Blessing of Kings, Keeper of Uldaman, Spellbreaker, Sunkeeper Tarim, like all these cards that you can really take advantage of with Call to Arms, and then hopefully hit him with a Sunkeeper Tarim, and then hit your opponent in the face for a lot of damage. Yeah. So, really strange. I don't know that aggro Paladin is better than odd Paladin. My mind tells me it's not. Like, you need to be really, really strong cards to make up for one dude every turn instead of 2.
Yeah.
Like,
it's going to be difficult.
Is so good.
Like, I think he's gone for like a Neutron as well. So I think he's just going for like protecting those minions behind a Neutron and Righteous Protector. Yeah. And then trying to get those buffs in, because he's also running Sunkeeper Tarim as well. So he does have potential, but I agree with the likes of the attrition you get from the hero power is insane. You don't really lose too much in the way of power from like 2 drops and 4 drops.
I thought we'd be seeing maybe an Anyfin aggro Paladin before we saw something that looks like this.
Yeah.
But maybe we're going to get to see it, so stick around. We'll be right back very shortly as we get into game number 3. SphnxManatee and Lojom are currently tied 1-1 here in the 2019 Hearthstone Wild Open Finals, and we are about ready to get into game number 3 here. For SphnxManatee, he's got his Odd Rogue and his aggressive Paladin. It's not an Odd Paladin, just an aggro Paladin. And then for Lojom, we have Odd Paladin and aggro Druid. So one interesting deck remaining on both sides here. This Druid is super reminiscent of the token Druid that we used to see that ran well, pretty much every card that's in this deck, honestly. Yep. You've got Jeeves for some reload. You have Living Roots for those 1/1 tokens, Enchanted Ravens, Mark of the Lotus to buff the board. It's just a super small stuff, buff it up and get 'em style of deck. And it's one that we have not seen much at all. And honestly, Druid is just not really pervasive in the Wild format right now, as it is not really in Standard either. So it's going to be both of these unique decks getting a chance to go up against each other. The aggro Paladin for SphnxManatee and the aggro token Druid for Lojom.
Yep, and I like Lojom's gone for like a direct counter to any kind of like pirate aggro decks. So I guess Lojom was kind of hoping that Sphinx would have queued in his Odd Rogue here to just basically pick that apart. So you can see he actually mulliganed away the Glockcrawler, because obviously no pirates in this deck, even though it's an aggressive deck, no pirate package. So he's just gone for his probably, I like that. The Raven into the likes of Mark Yasraj is brilliant.
Looks like he's going to coin out the Druid of the Swarm for the 1/5 Scarab token, which he can then mark next turn. Mark of Yasraj, +2/+2, but you also draw a card if it is a beast.
Yep. And that's a pretty decent start, and I like this, just building up a sizable body. Obviously, the annoying thing about like these tokens with Divine Shields, it feels bad to actually like target into it. So kind of like going face here.
I think we're gonna go face here. This is an aggro Druid deck.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
going for the 1/1 tap.
Sure.
Does he actually run the weapon buff for Divine Shields? Is that? I don't think he does he? Let's have a little look.
Oh, Rallying Blade?
Yeah, does he have one
he
copy?
does. He has 2 copies of Rallying Blade, actually. So that would...
Yeah.
Okay, that would deter Lojom from wanting to go face there then. Trade off some of the Divine Shields and prevent the +1/+1 buff.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
was looking at the wrong deck list there. Yeah, two Rallying Blades then. So, yeah, you really do need to pop those off ASAP.
Plus, maybe he could have played the Enchanted Raven and just hero powered down the Squire if he wanted to, I suppose.
Yeah.
But now with the Lost in the Jungle having been played, too many targets on the board, he's just going to go ahead and draw more cards. The issue with this matchup is that Jeeves helps both sides.
Yes.
And right now is actually helping SphnxManatee only.
Yes. And it's the same thing over again, where he's top decked both of his card draws, but they're both at a disadvantage now. So yeah, if it feels bad that he can't actually play these out yet, or I don't think is he ever going to get the chance to play those out? I'm just looking at Sphinx's hand. It looks pretty bad.
The options for Lojom going into the next couple turns are not good. The only cards he has over 4 mana are the 2 Jeeves in hand, 1 Evolving Spores, and 1 copy of Living Mana. So his deck is almost entirely 1s and 2 drops.
Yeah, you don't want to see this open in hand, especially Savage Roar as well. That's a card that you really want to basically top deck either from Jeeves or top deck later on in the game. You 100% want all of your 1 drops, 2 drops, all those tokens, and then all the buff cards. So, yeah, I guess here he could play Corsair, Glockcrawler first, obviously, and then Mark of the Lotus. Potentially just to try build up a...
It's still really bad.
Yep.
I mean, the Kings on SphnxManatee's side in particular was what really set him over the edge there, being able to buff up the mini-bot, knowing there's no direct damage from Lojom. There's nothing that can deal 6 damage to a mini-bot or naturalize or whatnot. The call to arms off the top is just backbreaking.
Yep.
I mean, that has got to just about be it here. Lojom's not playing Spreading Plague.
Nope. No, the only wide card he has is Living Mana, and only a 1 of.
He can't even play the Jeeves. He's just going to draw SphnxManatee cards.
Yeah, and again, a top deck of Power of the Wild there is not what you want to see at all. I don't think there's anything other than Living Mana as a top deck that would even be remotely decent out of this draw.
You can play cleanup a little bit here. Rid of the Annoyotron, but the Knife Juggler sticks. That's the really important thing for SphnxManatee because it makes so many draws so much better now.
And those two Jeeves just, devastating. Because he can play Blessing and Squire and, just keep his hand size down to 2. Obviously, he doesn't know that they're in hand, but at this point, you got to be getting an idea what those 3 cards are. You got to realize probably one of those is Savage Draw, or Evolving Spores, or Achieves. Something that if he can't play. Yeah, if he doesn't play it here, then that's a huge tell.
SphnxManatee just threw 11 damage into minions to trade because he knows it doesn't matter. This damage doesn't have to go face. He just needs to run Lojom out of stuff because Lojom cannot clear the board without a board of his own. So that was a very decisive win over to the only non-odd Paladin deck in the tournament. And that means that SphnxManatee just has his odd rogue left to be able to take down the Druid and the Paladin from Lojom. Now, the decks that Lojom has brought are pretty specifically tailored to beat pirate-based decks. And that is the rogue that SphnxManatee has.
Yep.
So there is still a very good chance that Lojom just is able to run away with these next 2 games. I think SphnxManatee needed to be ahead in this series to have a chance of being able to win.
Yeah, I'd like if Lojom queued in the same deck he's just played then, the Druid here, just to get that win over, because if he can just mulligan in for those Glocker Crawlers, he's at a huge advantage. Because most of the 1-drops that are going to be coming out of Pirates or Pirate base, so I do like his chances of tying up the series, and I'd be interested to see if how his odd Paladin is going to perform against it.
Yeah, I think it is going to come down to the Paladin versus the Rogue, and that one will be interesting. It'll definitely be a lot of how many 1-drops does the Rogue find early on.
Yeah. Firefly
in particular, because Odd Paladin just generally has a good matchup against Odd Rogue. Odd Paladin is the aggro deck that beats other aggro decks. It beats up even Shaman, it beats up Odd Rogue, because it just has so much board presence.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult for these decks that are trying to deal damage from hand or deal damage with charge minions on the turn that you play them to beat a deck that just consistently floods the board. So here we are going to see SphnxManatee actually bring out the Rogue first and try to go toe-to-toe here with this Paladin deck.
Yeah, and a big part of that matchup being so good is down to Righteous Protector. That card just soaking up 2 attacks or basically trading into an early pirate is huge.
What am I talking about? No, Lojom's bringing out the Paladin first to go toe-to-toe with the Rogue.
Yeah, I don't really like this hand that he's got. He kept Muster, which I agree with, because it's so good of just pinging off stuff on turn 3, but unfortunately he's hit Quartermaster, Blessing, and a Steward of Darkness. You can't really expect to get. He's a bit devastated by his opponent's got a plethora of 1-drops, and he's unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The 1-drops that SphnxManatee needs are there, and more importantly, the best 1-drop is there, which is Firefly.
And again, that Divine Favor, it's just one of those cards that isn't going to see any play this game.
No. I think it's always correct to keep Muster for battle, but
actually, I'm trying to think. In this matchup, I would probably go for a 1-drop, actually.
Yeah, you think you'd probably go for Lost in the Jungle
I would go for
Righteous Protector?
I'd probably go for a full mulligan on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Muster's so good, though. But, I mean, there is.
He does put himself. I don't know what the percentages are, but it does put him at an extra risk of not top decking that 1-drop that he absolutely
If
need.
the 1-drop is more important than the 3-drop, then it is correct to full mulligan. But looking at the list from SphnxManatee, he's not running Dark Iron Skulker like a lot of Odd Rogues are. He's got 2 Wolf Riders in his deck. He would make That's Admirable so proud with his commitment to charging the face.
That is a decent replacement for Cold Blood.
Man. Yeah, I guess 3 damage, 4 damage.
Yeah, same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, Seal of Champions, though, to be able to clear up the Henge Clan Thug is really nice.
That's a really big top deck, actually. But I guess this is okay, because you just Hero Power and go wide here, and just use the 1-mana card, the Blessing of Might, to trade that up.
Set up for the Quartermaster next turn.
Yeah, I suppose Seal of Champions is probably better on a 3 health minion in this matchup, because you token hit and then weapon hit won't go through, basically.
So Lojom is going to be able to hit Quartermaster onto 2 recruits here. Not the most powerful, but not bad.
That's really good. I think, yeah.
Does that throw him off of the turn?
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's going to play greedy.
He's going for the big play.
But I mean, when there's no Fan of Knives, when there's no Dark Iron Skulker, what actually punishes this?
Yeah, no Cold Blood. So like, well, you can't. It doesn't really matter if you have Cold Blood here or not. The only card that is pretty good here is FungalMancer, but obviously he's going to trade these in. So yeah, FungalMancer on 1 minion is not. You know.
There's not even FungalMancer in the deck.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Sorry about that.
This is a wacky odd rogue from SphnxManatee. It's just super aggressive. He has 2 copies of Akaris Veteran. He has the 2 Wolf Riders. I mean, this is a little weird.
Yeah, looking at that there, yeah, it's the 5-drop. There's only 2 5. Oh, sorry, there's only 4 5-drops in the deck. 2 Valspines, Myers and Stable, and Leroy. Yeah.
So this is a board that SphnxManatee just doesn't clear. Nope. And if he doesn't clear, he doesn't win. So looks like Lojom's tying things up.
Yeah, health total, he hasn't done enough damage to kind of like hopefully go for like a 2-turn lethal sort of deal, but his hand is nowhere near that. Yeah, he's trying to play trade here, but
he's got to take 3 to be able to clear. Lojom has the Seal of Champions. So that's 8 damage this turn.
Yeah. Top deck another quarter.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, he's actually choosing just to lock out. I guess that makes sense because you don't have to do it immediately. You can just. It's unlikely, like that the 1-drops are gonna.
Yeah.
Take precedence, but
if this board is good enough to win the game, might as well protect it.
That's it. Yeah.
So that is going to be game number 4 over to Lojom. And that aggro Paladin doing pretty much what we expected it to do against Odd Rogue.
Yep. And he saved the best to last, I think.
I think he did.
The Druid.
Yeah. Now, the Druid is teched specifically to beat the Rogue.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go quite as fast. It's
no.
It's fast.
There's no innovates.
You can't hero power for 2 1/1s every turn. That's what it can't do.
Yeah, I think mulligan-wise, all about Glockercrawler, I think. And, yeah, any 1-drops he can get his hands on. And, you know, Power of the Wild. Yeah, get rid of Power of the Wild. You just want you got all those 1-drops.
Yeah, you want, what's he got? Dire Moles, Firefly, Living Roots, Enchanted Ravens. Just stuff you can put on the board, buff it up, and hope that the Rogue can't clear it up. But that is going to be our game number 5. It is going to be the aggro Druid versus the Odd Rogue here. Lojom versus SphnxManatee. So don't go anywhere. Our 4th and final semifinalist will be decided right after this. This cable is the worst.
Oh, come on.
It's the... we are going into game number 5 here between SphnxManatee and Lojom. The winner of this game will go on to the semifinals to play against Longer from China. Then the winner of that, of course, will advance to the finals. So it's been a pretty back and forth series so far. SphnxManatee found himself up 2-1, but Lojom's last couple of decks are really well teched to be able to beat out the odd rogue that SphnxManatee has left. So we just saw the odd Paladin take out the rogue, and now it's going to come down to the odd rogue from SphnxManatee versus the aggro token Druid from Lojom. And this is... both of these decks are quite unique in that this rogue from SphnxManatee is way more aggressive than any other odd rogue we've got in the tournament. He's got Wolf Riders in the deck. He's got 2 copies of Ironbeak Owl. He has no... oh gosh, what's its name? Dark Iron Skulker. Yeah. He's got no Dark Iron Skulker. Obviously, you can't play Cold Blood anymore. He's got Akros Veterans, just trying to make up for the loss of Cold Blood any way that he can. And then this Token Druid from Lojom is an aggressive deck that he chose to bring instead of, bringing any sort of rogue. Or no, he does have rogue in his lineup. So instead of any priest or instead of any warlock, he's elected for just a straight quad aggro and figured that this druid was the best 4th deck that he could possibly bring.
Yeah. I do like that choice actually, because it does hit pirates pretty well, and you can see there that's like a perfect opener. Yeah. You basically. This
is actually just.
That's pretty.
The best that he could hope for.
Yeah, and any kind of like there's the 1-drop pirates as well.
Did you say pirates?
You can just coin a Galaka Crawler there if you wanted.
There are certain matchups where you want to hold the Galaka Crawler to try and hit like a captain.
Yeah.
This is not one of those matchups.
No. Yeah, this
you
is...
want a 3/4 for 2 mana, so you could hit them in the face.
I just like that straight off the bat.
It is really tempting to just go for double or for like Firefly Flame Elemental this turn too.
Yeah, because he's got an option to start going wide now, and hopefully like one of them sticks, and then go for a swing turn.
Nah, I'm on that pirate.
Yeah. He does run 2, and I think he's gonna have, if he top decks at any point in the game, he's gonna have a good chance of like basically hitting another pirate.
Yeah, there's so many more pirates in the deck for SphnxManatee.
Yeah, I kind of like. Oh, that's a bad draw. I kind of like protecting the Galaka Crawl here, trading that, and then going for a double 1 and Lotus next turn.
That looks perfect to me. Firefly, Raven plus Lotus is the biggest board that he could possibly have.
Yeah, and we're going to see Wolf Rider trading in. So he's actually lost his weapon and a minion in that trade, so that's a lot of tempo gone now. With that weapon down, yeah, this is where Lojom potentially just takes over the actual board here.
The Diremol pickup is sweet too.
Yeah.
He could just go full 1-drops this turn and not play Mark.
I was thinking about that, yeah. You can probably just go as wide as possible here, because without Dark Iron Skulker as a potential threat over the next like turn, yeah, you probably feel quite safe to go wide there. And yeah, unfortunately no SI7, but he does have Argent Horse Rider, so choosing not to actually play it, just going for the weapon. That's probably a little bit better to go wide himself.
Yeah, you want to utilize the weapon as much as you can, because it's the only source of constant removal that you're going to have. The Bloodsail Corsair does get rid of a durability on the weapon, which is kind of a kick in the pants here, and then just unload from the hand. Now if Lojom were to find Jeeves, he'd be very happy. But I don't think he's going to need it.
No, anything like Evolving Spores now, or one of the Savage Roars. That's lights out, isn't it?
That's the whole point of this deck. It goes hard on one board, and it very likely can kill you with that one board. Yeah. But if it can't, then it really just can't win the game.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like this deck's still viable, even with the loss of Innovate, which was a big one. That classic Innovate into Flappy Bird on turn 1.
Oh gosh. Brutal, so brutal. But this is just 10 damage that Lojom can deal here this turn. He can set up for the 2-turn kill. He can flood the board even further.
And that's going to be it. It looks like a 3-2 comeback.
He was down 1-2, managing to pick up the last 2 games, but we actually had a chance to ask Lojom some questions. Unfortunately, we don't have a Korean translator, I don't think, so we can't actually interview him directly. But a lot of the reason that he even brought these techs and brought the Druid deck that he did was because he was trying to counter pirate cards.
Yeah.
So it clearly worked out for him. We asked one of the few players to take Druid. Do you think that Druid caught people off guard? I think that nobody came into this tournament expecting to see Druid. And he says if the opponent uses pirate cards or a control style of gameplay, which they often do, then his Druid will be difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
And clearly, the Druid did not have a good showing against the aggro Paladin, but Paladin is the aggro deck killer, so it makes sense. But that rogue just cannot do anything about it. You're playing a rogue that is designed to hit the face, and the Druid just does it faster. So that level of preparation, as far as building your lineup, really worked out well for him.
Yeah, I that was one of the questions I wanted to put to him. Actually, was why did you decide to like tech in that style of Druid?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with Wild now, Druid is basically kind of reserved to the likes of J Druid, some small combo bits, but yeah, I agree with his pick up on that one. It's excellent. We also asked him if there's any cards that he actually missed from the standard format in Wild, and yeah, he did say that he was super interested in playing a mech deck, but he just couldn't get a powerful enough mech deck to be viable within the tournament. So yeah, he was a little bit disappointed that he couldn't play the likes of like Shredder or Mech Warper.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Every time I go back to Wild, I try to build Mech Mage.
Yeah.
First up. Like, is this good? Can I use Flamewaker? Can I use spare parts? And it seems to fall a little bit short these days, but I totally understand the love for the OG mech cards. They were phenomenal. But